Welcome in to Outkick the show. I am your fearless host, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having a fantastic Monday morning wherever you might be. We have got loads to get to after a big weekend of activity. So let's go ahead and give you the rundown of where we are headed. First of all, NBA and NHL playoffs happened over the weekend. The first weekend of both. Will assess where we are. ESPN says that Colin Kaepernick and his protest of the national anthem are similar to Jackie Robinson's views on the national anthem. Really, that happened. Hugh Freeze blocked as becoming offensive coordinator by the SEC. I've talked about that some. We'll unpack it a bit more now that it's officially out there as an article. Starbucks, the controversy surrounding that, and the former FBI director, Comey, going head-to-head with Donald Trump with the release of his new book. All of that, plus the interview that he did last night. We will discuss it all. But I want to begin by telling you, check out the banner, check out the hook while my DJ revolves it, sportsbookreview.com. NBA, NHL, you want to make sure you get the best possible price. Get there today, sportsbookreview.com. You will be glad that you did. If you are making a bet, you need to have all the info arrayed in front of you. They'll give you the best number. They'll make sure that you go to the best site to make sure that you get the most profitable buy you can on your gambling bets. They also have prop bets on the NFL draft. If you're sitting around and you want to gamble on that, why not? Next week is the official NFL draft. We'll talk more about that, but I'd encourage you to check out sportsbookreview.com. Also, going to announce this week official details on Outkick the weekend out in Vegas in August. I think that you guys are going to love it, and I will tell you where you'll be staying, everything associated with it, but you need to go get signed up for Outkick VIP because I think we're going to sell out. And I think we're going to sell out really quickly such that I might not even get to make the offer to everybody else out there. So the one way you can guarantee yourself, in addition to being a VIP, be able to make sure that you get the opportunity to go to the inaugural Outkick the weekend in Vegas is to go ahead and get a brand new mortgage today at thehomeloanexpert.com. Tell them Clay Travis sent you. Ryan Kelly will take care of you. And you will be glad that you did because you'll get a free weekend in Vegas at Outkick the weekend if you close in April. Just a couple of weeks left of that offer, and you need to be on it right now. Go to thehomeloanexpert.com. You can check out the link at the top of the website at outkick.com, or you can wait till tomorrow when I do the anonymous mailbag. But you've been thinking about it all weekend. Now is the right time to make a move and assure yourself that you are on the path to eternal fun in the city of sin, Las Vegas, which is where we'll be. All right, let's get right into it. To me, two really big stories out of the NBA and the NHL opening weekend. I watched a lot of the scores on these games. I was writing my book. My book is going to be out in September, and I cannot wait to get this book out to you because I finished over 300 pages of it over the weekend. I think it's really good. My only concern is that stories keep happening so rapidly that I'm going to want to keep adding stories to the book up until the point where it's released in September. But it's going to be going up on Amazon soon. We'll have a release date soon. I'm telling you, it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a big deal. HarperCollins is releasing it, and it's going to be out this September. But I was finishing that book this weekend. I was also watching the NHL and the NBA All-Star games. Here's the simple truth. Unless I really care, i.e. am gambling on a game, I don't necessarily turn it on until I want to see if it's going to be a good game or not. And so I primarily watched two games I care about. I watched the Predators because my boys want to watch, so we watched that game on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I was excited to watch the Cavs to see how they were going to do against the Pacers. And to me, the two biggest storylines so far, biggest surprises relative to expectations, one, LeBron and the Pacers ass-kicking that he got from them. And the fact that he walked off the court with 8 seconds left. And on top of that, and I think this is an interesting aspect that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, the quote of LeBron saying, "I've been down 3-1 before," jumped out at me because of his use of subject there. He didn't say we. He didn't say we, as in the Cavs, have been down 3-1 before. He said I've been down 3-1 before, which to me is making it sound eerily similar to what happened years ago before he went to Miami, when he lost to the Celtics, when he didn't put forth his best effort, and then he yanked his jersey off as he left the court. I'm not saying the Pacers necessarily are going to pull off this upset, but I am saying I don't think the Cavs have the horses to get past the 76ers, and I certainly don't think they have the horses to get past the Toronto Raptors either. But focus on what LeBron says. There are other guys on this team that were also down 3-1. May not be a lot of them because he's mostly got them all traded now, but Kevin Love was there. J.R. Smith was there. Is that it that was left from the Cleveland Cavaliers team that went down 3-1 and came back to win the title? Am I correct that that is the only remaining Pacers on this team that are playing any kind of substantial minutes? Was Kyle Korver on that team? I can't remember whether Kyle Korver was on that team. Tristan Thompson, you're right. I think that's the only ones left. But you would think that if you were going to say, wouldn't your natural response be, we've been down 3-1 before? The fact that he said, I've been down 3-1 before is, to me, a really illuminating quote to have out there. LeBron didn't say, again, I have been down. He didn't say we've been down 3-1 before and we have managed to come back. He said I've been down 3-1 before. So I'm rooting for the Pacers. Now, if the Pacers win this series, every ESPN executive is going to be curled up in the fetal position, crying themselves to sleep every night because they paid over $1 billion for this product, and they could end up with a disaster of an NBA Finals. Because if the Pacers beat the Cavs or the Cavs just don't advance, you could end up with the Toronto Raptors versus the Houston Rockets. And this, to me, is the biggest difference between the NFL's product and the NBA's product. The NFL, who makes the Super Bowl, doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things for who's going to watch. Yes, it's better. The best possible Super Bowl right now would be Dallas Cowboys against the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New England Patriots. The Cowboys and the Steelers have the biggest fan bases in the country. It's probably the best possible Super Bowl. The Cowboys against the Patriots, also a phenomenal Super Bowl, right? But it doesn't really matter in terms of ratings in the grand scheme of things, even if the Jags had played the Vikings, let's say. Jags-Vikings would have still produced a massive audience. The NBA is still a player-driven, audience-driven league. And the NBA people out there are like, oh, our ratings hit a 5-year high and everybody's watching. It all evaporates overnight. And the NBA, for all the bragging, has still not equaled the ratings that they got when Michael Jordan was playing in 96, 97, and 98. For all the chest thumping, for all the bragging, I believe there are 30 million people more in this country now than were in the country when Michael Jordan was playing against the Utah Jazz. Game 6, pushed off Brian Russell, stepped back, hit that jumper. Okay? Ever since then, there has not been any kind of ratings that have equaled that 1998 number, despite the fact that we've got a lot more people. So, I believe that if you had a Canadian team, first of all, if you had a Canadian team, and I'm rooting for the Raptors because I think they're the most disrespected franchise in the entirety of pro sports. So I'm rooting for the Raptors to make the finals. But if you had the Raptors, for instance, play against the Houston Rockets, I don't think anybody watches. I think ESPN loses hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think more than anybody, ESPN is desperately in need of LeBron James advancing with the Cleveland Cavaliers to the conference finals once more. Because remember, they have got the Eastern Conference Finals, and if they got, say, let's just say, if they got Pacers versus Raptors, they would curl up in the fetal position and die. Now, that couldn't happen because the Pacers are set up to play the Raptors, but let's say they got Raptors versus, what's the worst matchup they could get? Raptors-Sixers is not a very good matchup in terms of drawing audience, okay? So that is why I would say the tie is going to go to LeBron James. They have to, I'm telling you this right now, they have to absolutely, the Pacers do, dominate LeBron James. They cannot leave it in the mind of anybody out there who is refereeing this game to make a decision about who exactly is going to win this series. If you are a Pacers fan, you need to kick the crap out of LeBron James to such an extent that it cannot be in the margin of error. You can't let one of these NBA officials who's going to value LeBron James and the league over the entirety of fair play. I think that officials end up always giving the benefit of the doubt to the superstar. I don't know if you want to say the fix is in, but I think officials in their head, when they see LeBron James flop, they call the foul for LeBron James. The NBA has always been a superstar league. It was a superstar league with Jordan. We saw what happened with Kobe and Shaq back in the day against the Sacramento Kings. You are going to get the benefit of the doubt if you are a superstar. So I think the Pacers or the Sixers or the Raptors have to not just beat LeBron James, they have to crush him so that there's no doubt about who is the better team and it doesn't come down to the margin of error. So that to me is the biggest story by far in the NBA so far. I think that the Western Conference, look, you know who just flipped a switch? The Golden State Warriors. They are going to dominate again tonight. They're going to sweep through the Spurs, who are basically dead. Popovich has lost this team. We have no idea what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. Spurs have no answer. The Warriors have been bored during the regular season. If you listen to the show, we had Brandon Wright on. He said, I think the Warriors just got a little bit bored with a long season. I'm telling you right now that that series is over. I think the Warriors are likely to play against the Rockets, and whoever wins between the Warriors and the Rockets is going to win the NBA Finals and win the championship. But I think that's a good side of the bracket. You get Warriors versus Rockets, you have to be very happy. If LeBron is not at least in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's going to be a ratings disaster for ESPN. So I would say for all the chest thumping and all the arguments about the fact that ratings are up, the NBA, more so than any sport in America other than golf, which relies on Tiger Woods, relies on superstars to sell ratings. People don't love the sport, they love the players. That's important because after Jordan left, we saw the NBA ratings tank. They still haven't gotten back to where they were in 96, 97, and 98. And so as a result, I think this is going to be a real mess of a situation if the Cavs don't get things fixed in a hurry. Speaking of a real mess of the situation, I don't know about you guys, but everything surrounding the Caps, with the exception of that little girl who got the hockey puck, is a mess right now. The Washington Capitals win the top record for 2 prior years this year, aren't able to advance very far into the Stanley Cup playoffs, and now they lose their first 2 at home to the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have never won a series before and haven't even won more than 2 games in a playoff series before, and they just went on the road and took out Ovechkin and the Capitals. They are now up 2-0. They're going back home to Columbus. That's by far the biggest story. Now, it's a cool story that the Vegas Golden Knights are up 3-0 on the LA Kings, but you wouldn't have necessarily expected anything different based on the fact that they were favored and how well they have played. The Preds being up 2-0 against the Avs is not a surprise. Most of the results so far in the NHL are not that big of a surprise. But to me, that's the biggest surprise, is the way that is breaking down so far. Huge upset. Blue Jackets win 2 on the road as underdogs in overtime. If you are a Caps fan, that is brutal. Okay, let's get to Hugh Freeze. I told you guys on this show months ago, and I've said it on my radio show, that there were multiple teams that tried to sign Hugh Freeze as the offensive coordinator, and they got blocked by the administration and or the SEC. Tennessee tried to bring in Hugh Freeze as offensive coordinator. I was told they got blocked by the chancellor. The chancellor at Tennessee said no because of consultations with the SEC office, also because of, obviously, Hugh Freeze's off-the-field incidents. I was told Missouri tried to get Hugh Freeze done as offensive coordinator, and that was blocked as well because of the Hugh Freeze-related incidents. I've been told LSU was interested, and certainly Alabama was interested. That's at least 4 different programs that wanted Hugh Freeze to be their offensive coordinator. The SEC has blocked it. Why has the SEC blocked it? Because they don't want Hugh Freeze to come back into their conference as an offensive coordinator. So if I were watching this show, as many coaches and administrators do in other parts of the country, what the SEC hopes is that Hugh Freeze can get a job somewhere else and then come back into the conference having cleansed himself in some way and letting another conference take a chance with him instead of him getting his penalty, coming back into the SEC, and then being a head coach again. I think Hugh Freeze will get a chance to be a head coach in the SEC again. I have been interested. Well, somebody said, now that's real collusion. Well, the reason why it's happening is because the SEC is saying they have a rule that if you are victim of a major transgression under NCAA rules, that the conference office has to sign off on your decision to bring somebody else back in. Somebody just asked a good question. What is his value elsewhere? I think his value is pretty high. I mean, he had a lot of success at Arkansas State. The guy has been a good offensive coordinator and scored a lot of points everywhere else he goes. But to me, this would have been a home run hire for Alabama. It would have been a home run hire for Tennessee. Would have been a home run hire for Missouri. Would have been a home run hire for LSU. I think all of those programs had the opportunity to bring in a big-time difference maker at coordinator and basically just make him the head coach of the offense. You might not like Hugh Freeze. You might even think that he's a liar. You might not believe his request for redemption and forgiveness. But I think it's fair to say a guy can coach offensive football. You give him good talent. I can't even imagine what he would have been capable of with this Alabama offense. I would have just gone ahead and penciled in Alabama as the national champs if Hugh Freeze had gotten to coach the talent that Alabama is going to have on offense this year. So I don't blame Nick Saban for being interested and intrigued by it. I don't blame anybody for exploring this, but it is a pretty phenomenal story to see exactly what's going to happen here and whether any other program out there is going to try to bring in Hugh Freeze. I would say this. I know that LSU owes him a lot of money. But if you were going to hire, I looked at the over-unders that came out for LSU this year. I don't know how much attention you guys are paying to LSU. Coach O is probably going to go like 8-4 this year. Maybe 7-5. That's the over-under expectations for LSU. The gap between Alabama and LSU is widening every year that Ed Orgeron is there. They did not close signing day well. Is it possible? It's a good question for you guys. Is it possible that the brain trust at LSU, to the extent that they have one, could decide to fire Coach O after this year and bring in Hugh Freeze as the next head coach at LSU? Tell me that wouldn't make you a little bit nervous if you were a coach in the SEC. I think that would be a smart play. If I were LSU, I'd be looking at it. He's sitting out there on the sideline. Coach O is not going well. Name me someone who you could bring down to Baton Rouge that would win at a higher level if there was somebody better than Hugh Freeze. You know he can recruit. Not that far down the road from Oxford down to Louisiana. A lot better players. A lot better recruits. You know, again, that you would have to pay guys less. Maybe Lane Kiffin is your answer. Maybe that is the answer. Maybe Petrino is your answer. There aren't very many guys that would make more sense that you could get. And I'm not sure you get Lane Kiffin. I'm not sure that you get Bobby Petrino. But those are intriguing options. I like both of those. But to me, Hugh Freeze is a possibility for real. I think this. Could be wrong. Early prediction. Very early prediction. I think LSU is going to be in looking for a new coach at the end of this upcoming season. I think the Coach O experiment is going to be seen as a disaster. I think LSU is going to hit the eject button, and I think they're going to be out there looking for a new coach. Could be wrong. Been wrong before on my predictions, but if I had to predict, I would go with that move as being the most likely in the SEC at the top tier programs. Gus Malzahn is locked in. You know that Nick Saban ain't going anywhere. We got Mullen in year one. We got Pruitt in year one. We got Kirby Smart in year 3. All of the top programs. Now you got Jimbo down at Texas A&M. I think that's the big 6 programs in the SEC, the big 7. And to me, the only one that could potentially be making a move is LSU. Intrigued to see what the opportunities will be there. Okay, let me tell you this. This Comey versus Trump feud. I am utterly fascinated by this Comey versus Trump feud. I watched the interview. I've read the excerpts. I'm not going to read Comey's entire book because I don't care enough about the former FBI director. But the most intriguing thing to me about the Comey book and the interviews and the publicity tour that he's doing right now is what's his end game. I'm big on chess, right? Three-dimensional chess, trying to figure out what the moves are, not just because what's happening in front of us right now, but what the next move is. I don't see Comey's play here. I really don't. Maybe he just wants to make some money from the book. But he specifically said he doesn't believe that Donald Trump should be impeached. And by the way, I'm not an impeachment guy. You guys know if you watch this show, I don't believe in impeachment. I don't think that it's possible for Donald Trump to get removed from office based on what we know here. So I just find it odd. How old is Comey? Like 56 or 57 years old? I don't understand at that point in time, in general. By the time I am 55 or 56, which is basically 15, 20 years from now, when I am Comey's age, I'm not going to still be chasing money. I'm going to have whatever money I've got. I'm going to invest it safely, and I'm just going to kick back. He's 57. He's almost 20 years older than me. If you don't have money at 57, you're probably not going to suddenly have money at 58, right? You've had your whole life to make money. I'm going to try to make a lot of money over the next 10 years, and I'll be 50, and then I may just kick back. I may just kick back, go live at the beach, dial out, say I got a great life, and just watch my kids get older, and then eventually watch my grandkids. I might do it. But I don't understand why suddenly in your 50s, late 50s, money would become your motive. So I think he has to be motivated in some way by a genuine disdain for Donald Trump. But I don't understand what he's hoping to manage. I don't understand what he is hoping to manage with his book and with his attacks on Donald Trump. The people who hate Donald Trump hate him already. Comey coming out and saying that he also hates Donald Trump doesn't change the equation in any way. And he doesn't seem to have any smoking gun. And by the way, by smoking gun, I'm speaking idiomatically, not literally, as in he's trying to threaten Donald Trump's life with a real gun. So many people are fucking idiots these days that you can't even use idioms. Certainly not if you're in the world of sports. I don't understand it. And look, I've talked before, a lot of people get impeachment and removal from office mixed up. Donald Trump might get impeached if the Democrats win the House of Representatives, but he's not going to get removed from office because 67 people are not going to vote to remove him from office. Moreover, if I'm the Democrats, I don't want Donald Trump to get removed from office. Think intelligently here. Would you rather run against Mike Pence, who really has done nothing wrong in his entire career other than maybe have policy disagreements with you over, all sorts of conservative-related social positions? Or would you rather run against Donald Trump? I think that Pence is a much more traditional candidate, frankly, than Donald Trump is. I think that is maybe a more challenging case to run against than Donald Trump. Now, I think the left wing is losing its mind over Trump, and I think right now I would bet on him to be reelected in 2020 if the economy continues to be good and if all of the hate continues to build up. I don't see his base going anywhere. But I think that Pence is actually a functional politician who might get a lot of stuff done and is actually a true believer in conservative government and in social conservatism. Whereas I think Donald Trump is just like kind of a middle-of-the-road guy, right? I still think Trump is kind of a middle-of-the-road guy who's open to arguments and is just becoming more angry as he realizes how many enemies he has. So I think it's a bad idea to try to impeach anybody over any kind of sexual impropriety, over anything that happened decades ago. Let the voters decide. The reason we have elections is to let the voters decide. There is nothing out there so far that I think would have changed the voters' decisions about Donald Trump if they had known it. And so I think he should run in 2020. Democrats should nominate the best person to beat him, and they should try to beat him fair and square in their election. Now, here's the other thing. My advice to Democrats. Change the game. Right now, social media has led, I mean this honestly, to both political parties not nominating their best candidates, but the candidate that the other side hates the most. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, but social media, I believe, Whether you like Barack Obama or not in 2012, whether you liked Mitt Romney or not in 2012, I think you could say, you know what? I think that's the best candidate that either party could have nominated. In 2008, maybe McCain wasn't the best candidate for the Republicans. I think Obama was certainly the best candidate for Democrats. And by best candidate, what I mean is somebody who appeals to middle-of-the-road voters. Somebody out there who isn't decided right now who could say, you know what, I kind of like that guy or I kind of like that girl. Not just designed to make the other side angry. In 2016, we nominated as a country the two most hated people to ever run for political office. And I believe the reason Republicans nominated Trump was because they knew that Democrats hated Trump the most. And I think one reason that Democrats nominated Hillary Clinton was because they knew that Republicans hated Hillary Clinton the most. And also because the DNC colluded to make sure that Hillary got the nomination over Bernie Sanders. That's another aspect of this. But if I were advising the Democrats, I would say don't pay attention to social media. Don't let social media dictate the decision that you make. Because if it does, you're going to end up nominating the person that Republicans hate the most. And that is going to drive turnout for Republicans, just like nominating Hillary drove turnout to help Trump. I'm telling you this right now. The idea of nominating the person who your opponents hate the most is going to lose to Donald Trump. Trump will win if you nominate the candidate that Republicans hate the most because he will still get the independent voters. I can see it now. Elizabeth Warren out there trying to redo Hillary Clinton, and he just Pocahontas her ass to death, and the same 8 million people who flipped their vote from Obama to Trump are going to stick with him, and they are going to go ahead and win the election. I'm telling you right now, be careful about it. All right, final thoughts. This Starbucks story. This Starbucks story is fascinating to me because I think it's an interesting window into the way social media works. So far as what I can tell happened. This Philadelphia area Starbucks had two black guys in there who asked, I believe, multiple times if they could use the bathroom. They were told, no, you can't use the bathroom unless you buy something. I have been told that many times over the years. I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys. People are like, oh, this would never happen to a white person. I have been in any number of businesses and gone in like having to go to the bathroom and asked to use the bathroom and been told, hey, you have to buy something in order to use the bathroom. I have been told that with my kids. You know, you got like a 5-year-old with you. 5-year-old has to go to the bathroom. You got to get a key. You got to go to the front desk. You know you have to buy something in order to use the bathroom. I think this happens all the time. Okay? I don't know why this is considered controversial. I'm going to New York City this weekend. Everywhere you go in New York City. Same thing, Washington, D.C. The bigger the city, the more likely it is they make you buy something in order to use the bathroom. Why do they do that? By and large, I think it's because of homeless populations. Because otherwise, homeless people go into the bathroom, they use them, they want to encourage homeless people not to be there. If you buy something, then you are able to use the bathroom. This is a standard rule. Okay, this is a standard rule all over the place. So, if you are waiting for somebody, go out and buy something. Just buy a fucking cup of coffee or something so you can go to the bathroom. Only one of you has to buy something. This feels to me like a setup. This feels to me like a rig job designed to try to create a stir, okay? I don't know who the employee was at Starbucks or what their conversation was or why it led to the point that she called police because they wouldn't leave. Maybe that employee is just a horrible racist and she just decided on that day that she was sick of black people and that she was going to make them get evicted from her store. Maybe that happened. If that happened, that's racism. She should probably be fired, certainly by Starbucks. She shouldn't be employed there anymore. But the way this thing went down makes me feel like it was a setup of some sort. Because here's the deal. I don't know where we have gone as a country. When somebody comes up to you and says, as a police officer, by the way, the police did nothing wrong here. The vast majority of the time when police find themselves in these situations, it's because they were called and they came in to address a claim of trespassing. Okay? The police said, hey, they're saying you're not buying anything. You can't just stay here. Okay? They asked them 3 times to leave or buy something, right? If you buy something, if you spend $4 in Starbucks, you can stay there all day if you're angry at the Starbucks employee, okay? Buy a newspaper. Buy something. I don't drink coffee. I go in at Starbucks all the time and buy newspapers. Why? I read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal every day. I don't care if they were waiting on someone. Buy something. If you are being told that you are going to have to leave otherwise, has this mysterious person they were waiting on appeared? It's not 1945. You can text them, hey, let's meet somewhere else. Is that difficult to do? If you were waiting to meet someone, would you rather tell them to meet you somewhere else, buy a newspaper or a cookie, or go to jail? This is an interesting question. Is there anybody out there who would be like, you know what? I'm so desperate to meet this person that if I don't have the opportunity to meet them, then I'm going to go to jail. This doesn't make sense. So the police ask you, we've got a strange place in this country where when you are asked to leave by a police officer or told to do anything by a police officer, here's what you do. You do it. Unless you are intentionally trying to protest something and you want the police to arrest you, if you are a normal citizen going about normal daily activities, then you do what you are told to do by the police. If the police officer tells me 3 times to do something or he's going to arrest me, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to, guess what? Do what the police officer told me. So this whole story, it doesn't smell right to me. Doesn't smell right to me. It seems like a setup. Starbucks is an insanely left-wing organization. The fact that there are cameras there, the fact that this mysterious friend never shows up, the fact that you don't alleviate this situation by just buying a freaking newspaper for $1 so you can go to the bathroom. This is a standard rule. I have been told this many times. I have bought things that I didn't want to buy in order to get for me or my kids to be able to get the key to go to the bathroom. I don't understand how this is an example of racism unless this girl or guy who works at Starbucks has decided that she's going to suddenly start a racial war by not letting black people sit in her Starbucks. It doesn't make any sense. And I would think in general that if you call the police that there is some sort of disruption that is going on. I think this is strange. There happens to be somebody there conveniently to record it. They have got attorneys. They're going to try to turn this into a big deal and make Starbucks pay them billions of dollars. It feels, a friend of mine said this, it feels, if you watch Billions, it feels a little bit like Starbucks is getting ice juiced here. Like they had 2 people and a cadre of surrounding individuals who are trying to ice juice Starbucks, if you watch Billions, trying to make a lot of money from this. It just doesn't make any sense. It's awfully confusing. It's awfully convenient. It's awfully confusing. It seems completely like a setup to me. That seems like the truth. And again, I don't know what the bathroom situation is there, but in many East Coast cities that I have been in, whether it's DC, Philly, New York, Boston, in big cities, they make you get a key to use the bathroom. So I think that we might have gotten ice juice broed. I think Starbucks might have gotten juice barred bro, but we'll see what happens. I am Clay Travis. This is Outkick the show. I appreciate all of you coming to hang out. We'll be live tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports Radio. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me every single afternoon. Right around 3 Eastern, we'll be live on here. New banner, go to sportsbookreview.com. Make sure you get hooked up with all the best NBA, NHL, and NFL gambling prop bets. DBAP, boys and girls, I'm Clay Travis. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Thank you. See y'all.